There was a boy named John who met a girl named Mary. John had it all, but he was still depressed. And Mary was different from all the other girls. She actually listened to him. She encouraged him and lifted him up. But the thing is, she would not commit to him. And John became addicted to her. He tried to leave her alone, but he kept running back. But one day, he got fed up. He decided that Mary took too much of his life without getting anything in return. And he met a new girl and pursued his ambitions. And as for Mary, she went on to capture many other men, and she still lives on.
This is a 30-day guided journal to quit cannabis. If you don't want to buy it on Amazon, get some pen and paper. I'm going to go through it as quick as I can. Okay, day one. The goal of this journal is to not only gradually wean ourselves off cannabis, but to also uncover how we reached this point. By untangling this mental mess, we can better prevent falling back into old habits. Let's begin at the root of your journey. Reflect on the first time you got high. What was your experience like? How did it make you feel? Okay, day two. Now it's time to begin the process. During the first week, we will create a plan to gradually decrease our cannabis use each day. The approach will vary depending on your daily intake. For example, if you smoke 3 joints a day, aim to cut it down to 1 joint a day. If you smoke, let's say, 1 joint a day, let's try reducing it to half a joint a day. Let's write a game plan down to help us stay on track. Okay, personal story. At my height, I would smoke about 7 blunts per day. So when I first cut back, it was about 3 blunts per day. So don't try to go from 0 to 100. Let's start at baby steps. Or if you feel like you can, then, do what you do. Okay, day 3. When we first started smoking weed, we likely began as an occasional smoker. Then became a weekend smoker. Then eventually became daily smokers. What started you and brought you to this point? Was it stress? Was it influence in your social circle? Did it help you sleep? Let's write some reasons why you started smoking and why you continue to smoke today. Have these reasons changed over time, or have they remained the same? Okay, day 4. By day 4, we should have started to make an attempt to cut back our daily use. Let's focus on our feelings before and after we smoke, leading up to our next smoke session. Do we find it hard to wait? Are we terribly anxious? Are we stressed out? Or do we feel normal? There is no correct answer, but we should rather focus on emotions before and after we smoke. Day 5. Most cannabis users start as social smokers and turn into private smokers. Media always show a cliche stoner with the long hair that wears the Mary Jane t-shirt, but that person isn't the norm. It is pretty immature to wear cannabis on their sleeve and brag about it, and most people grow out of that phase. Many users learn to keep it private. While that may seem like the best route, keeping your addiction private allows others to not see it, so most people are unaware of your usage. By doing that, you kind of convince yourself that you don't have a problem. So use this section to be honest with yourself. Let yourself know you are aware of your problem despite what others don't see. Okay, day 6. How many people are affected by your addiction? Again, due to cannabis not being considered a hard drug, we may think it does not affect those around us. Maybe it only affects one person or affects others indirectly. Take a deep inventory of people in your life and think about who it affects, even by the slightest. Okay, personal story. My wife actually never told me to stop smoking, but I, in turn, still started to hide my usage from her. So, in turn, I kind of created a whole other set of issues regarding trust. So, don't do that to yourself. Okay, it's day 7. You made it through week 1. Have you noticed any changes? Have you cut down this week? How do you feel? How are you handling your emotions? How does your body feel? Take some time to think about it and put pen to paper. Okay, it's day 8. On week 2, we will start this week off by cutting back some more. Last week, you maybe cut down your intake in a day. But this week, we will try to cut out some days completely. Try to smoke every other day or choose 2 or 3 days you will not smoke or vape altogether. It may seem tough in the beginning and the days may seem long, but it does get easier with time. Write down a plan. Okay, it's day 9, and you may be experiencing some sleep issues. Sometimes we can become sleep dependent on cannabis. The idea of sleeping on your own may seem foreign. If that is the case, we must break that. Although sleeping on your own may seem difficult at first, you can quickly reset your body after a couple of weeks. Sleep should be a natural thing, and if you are finding it hard to go to sleep and stay asleep, there may be deeper issues than your dependence on marijuana. If you are finding issues with going to sleep and staying asleep, let's write down some things below that may actually be keeping us from going asleep. Is it stress? Is it worry? Is it anxiousness? Is it overstimulation? There is always a root cause to sleep issues, whether it's mental or physical. Okay, it's day 10. How are you dealing with your appetite? Cannabis and eating start to go hand in hand the longer you use. Many times we may feel like if we quit smoking, we will not enjoy food as much. If this is you, that is a big problem. Food is the main source that should be going into our bodies, and we don't want another source to dictate that. The good thing is, after about 1 or 2 weeks, you should gain your natural appetite back. Remember, you do have to eat, just like sleep. So maybe we should look at this as a reset on our diet as well. I'm sure that you crave some not good foods when you're high. So let's retrain our palate. Have you wanted a cleaner diet? Let's write down some diet goals we want to achieve in the future. Maybe it will do us some good to research some whole food diets. Okay, it's day 11. How is your mood? This is one of the biggest withdrawal symptoms that cannabis users go through. You may feel tense, anxious, angry, or all of the above. This is really all in your head. The truth is that we must learn how to control our emotions in our sober state. Although cannabis can brighten your view on a particular situation, it cannot teach us how to deal with our emotions and the emotions of others. If so, we need to look at our internal reasons why. Good thing to know that this is not a marijuana problem, but it is a you problem. We may take a couple of days to unpack this since it can be a subject all in itself. So let's write down some things you find it hard to deal with, whether it's work, family, school, friends, relationships, anything. Let's get them all out on paper. Okay, it's day 12. Let's take a moment to acknowledge our emotions and let's focus on strategies to manage them. If interactions with family and friends are challenging, like mine, we should concentrate on how we interpret their words and how we respond. If work is the source of our stress, we need to identify the underlying causes of these feelings. Once we understand the root cause, we can brainstorm on ways to address them immediately. Personal tip: learn to be proactive before you actually get stressed out. Okay, it's day 13. Let's begin reflecting on our goals you want to pursue in life. Consider if cannabis might be hindering you from that progress. We'll revisit this later this month, but for now, take some time to write down things you would like to achieve, whether they are personal, professional, financial, or otherwise, in both the near and distant future. Okay, it's day 14. We're at the end of week 2. How do you feel? Are you holding up? Is it easier than you expected or harder? Get your thoughts out on paper. Okay, it's day 15. We are at the halfway mark. And at the start of week 3, this week, let's work on cutting down our days a bit more. It's scary. This may be different for everyone, but let's smoke or vape a little less than last week. You can even cut back altogether if you feel like you are ready. Okay, tip. On days that you are not smoking, try to occupy your time with something new, a hobby, exercise, gardening, whatever you like, etc. Okay, day 16. How much do you spend on cannabis in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year? The cost might surprise you. Calculate your yearly cost and think about something else to apply those funds to. Day 17. Let's try some replacement therapy. Think of some things you may want to replace with cannabis, whether it's a new diet change, a new business venture, a hobby you always wanted to pursue. Let's embrace a new lifestyle with something fulfilling. Don't look at this like you're losing something, but rather gaining something better. What things do you want to try out in the near future? Day 18. If you have a hard time sticking to change, I will look at your spiritual foundation. I am not here to claim what beliefs you should subscribe to, but if you have a hard time sticking to something, you may lack a spiritual foundation. Take some time to introspect your spiritual journey and to see if that may be affecting your progress in life. Day 19. Cannabis tolerance has both its advantages and drawbacks. The more you use it, the higher your tolerance becomes. But when you cut back, your tolerance can readjust. You might find the effects becoming more potent. For example, if you reduce your consumption from 5 joints a day to 1, after a week or two, you may start feeling those effects more quickly from that one joint. You may feel good about cutting back and say, I did a great job. However, it's important not to stay at that level for too long. With prolonged use, you can become numb to those effects unless you increase your dose. So by gradually cutting back, you might experience highs you felt in your early days of smoking, which can either make you fall in love all over again or become hyper aware of its effects. Being hyper aware can be very beneficial as it allows you to understand how the drugs impact your mind and actions. How have you felt while you have cut back? Okay, it's day 20. Are there people in your life who influence you? The journey can seem challenging for those around you that, still smoke weed. If they are close family and friends, I would not suggest detaching from them, but you might want to limit your time around them if you feel like they influence your decisions. The goal isn't to end relationships, but to change yourself. If your connection is based on more than just cannabis, do not end your relationships. Ideally, you want to reach a point where you can be around them and still have the power to not partake. Reflect on the people in your life and how they influence your usage. Okay, personal story. Okay, my mom still smokes weed, so I could not detach from her, but I did eliminate that part of our relationship. Okay, it is day 21, the end of week 3, so let's reflect and get ready for our last week. Let's jot down some things we may have learned or we probably want to focus on. Okay, day 22. One of the main issues of getting high on a regular basis is it manipulates our reward response. When we smoke, we achieve the high, and it's over. When we do this consistently, it throws off our reward stimulus. Everything good in our life should come with work. It makes the reward more fulfilling. Getting high can be similar to porn as it also gives us this immediate reward with little to no work and an immediate come down. As mentioned earlier, we should replace cannabis with something that takes more work to get the reward. The process of working to achieve something for the reward creates better character. Let's depend less on an immediate reward and learn how to put work in more fulfilling things. Let's reflect back on what we can replace cannabis with in our lives. Okay, it's day 23. As we near the end of our 30-day process, let's take some time to reflect on what we have learned about ourselves. If you are still unsure about quitting, try making a list of pros and cons. Compare the number of items on each list and consider which ones are more significant to you. Okay, it's day 24. And by the 4th week, we should focus on either cutting down to once a week or completely cutting out altogether. If you feel like you can do this without going back, I would make a final smoke date. Cannabis is not a bad plant, but your addiction to it can be bad. We should not leave this experience demonizing the drug, but rather changing ourselves. Have a final goodbye with Mary and end things on good terms. Decide a date in the next few days to get rid of your final stash. Okay, day 25. How are you processing your feelings at this point? Have they improved from the first week? Write down your progress and let yourself know what areas you want to work on. Okay, it's day 26. Don't fall back into the trap of dropping a bad habit for another bad habit. It's okay to replace a habit with something productive and positive, but don't go to another vice such as cigarettes, drinking, vaping, CBD, etc. Have you noticed any desire to pick up another habit? If you feel that you have, what steps would you take to not go down that similar road? Take this day to meditate on that and learn how to be more cognitive on your choices. Okay, it's day 27. Focus on some of the benefits you have noticed since cutting back. Is your memory better? Does it feel good not having to master odor? Has your appetite gone back to semi-normal? Do you have less idle thoughts? Write down some of your benefits that you have noticed. One of my first benefits I did notice was I could go somewhere and I did not smell like weed. Okay, it's day 28. Have you considered getting an accountability partner? If you find it challenging to stay committed on your own, bring a partner in that might help you overcome your hurdles. While you may not want to let yourself down, having an agreement with someone else adds the motivation to not let them down either. Write down what you would say to them to invite them in on your journey to help you stay accountable. Okay, it's day 29. Okay, 30 days is almost up. Have you noticed any positive changes in your life? Let's focus on the good things you have noticed about your progress. Do not focus on the negative, but what good things have come out of this journey. This may seem repetitive, but reaffirming ourselves will help us stay on the correct path. Although we should not become stagnant in our own progress, we should recognize our growth. What growth have you noticed? Okay, it's day 30, so take this day to get anything off your chest. If you tried it and you were unsuccessful, don't worry, it's normal. It took me a few times to actually quit. You can start this process over at any given time. Start back over to day 1 and realize what mistakes you made so you can not make those previous mistakes and probably move further along in the process. Again, this was brief. If you need help, you want this on paper, go to Amazon to get the 30-day guided journal to quit cannabis, and your future self may thank you. Peace.
I used to wake up smoking weed. Now I wake up and pray and give thanks. Weed used to control my life, and I felt like I needed it all the time. Now I am the master of my emotions and my anxiety. I felt like I could not enjoy food without weed. Now my whole life is transformed, including my diet. I never thought I could quit weed in my lifetime, but now I could not imagine smoking weed all day, every day.
Okay, weed affects people in different ways, but specifically for this video, there are 2 types of smokers. There's the smoker where weed brings them out of their shell. I can talk to people when I'm high. They can talk to people more. They can communicate better. They can think more. They become more. Weed helps me tolerate bullshit. Tolerating of people, they're funny, charismatic, laid back, chill. And weed pretty much helps them be a better communicator with people. Then there's the smoker who they smoke weed and they just completely shut down. They become a recluse. They become, I just shut down when I smoke weed. They become caged in. They're like a sitting rock. They're just sitting there all comatose. But weed affects them differently. But back to that first person where when they're not smoking weed, they're reserved or they're shy. They don't like to talk to people. Now, like myself, I evolved into being a shy person, and I did notice when I was smoking weed, I was more talkative. Sometimes I could talk too much. Weed didn't necessarily make me become quiet, but make me actually be more of a conversationist. Maybe we can say it made things more interesting, made me want to talk more, but whatever the case, I could say that weed brought me out of my shell. Now, the issue is when weed does this for us, makes us this normal person who can communicate better with others when we're high, we tend to abuse weed and use weed as an excuse to never stop. We feel like, okay, once I quit weed, I'm not going to talk to people. I'm not going to want to talk to people. I'm going to basically go back to my reserved, shut off, unapproachable self.
And who wants to be that person? But look at it like weed maybe opened that door into the person that you actually are. Weed didn't necessarily change your personality, but brought out certain traits that you didn't know that you have. And I do look at weed, people say, use weed, and they say, well, it's a medicine. You're correct. It is a medicine, and most medicine should be used for a short period of time to help you get over certain symptoms. But while we're smoking weed, we should be discovering in our high self what makes us better and how we can actually do these same things in our sober state. If we use weed to sleep, okay, it may help you in the short term for getting some sleep, but we have to find out why we're not getting sleep. If you're smoking weed to make you more sociable, let's find out why we're not sociable. And once we're not high, use those same traits that we use when we're high to talk to more people. And this is a big issue for, I would say, men specifically, because, I mean, women tend to talk more than men. We are naturally more of the reserved set. And especially with today's generation where we are on the computers, we're on video games, we're watching porn, we're doing these things that we're making ourselves loners. So there are a lot more shy people than what there once were 10, 15, 30 years ago. Now, I consider myself to be a shy person, but my oldest son, he takes it to another level. I still talk to people. I still actually went on dates, although I never felt like I was the person that could walk up to a woman and just be the smooth operator. But I mean, eventually I'm gonna say something to get on some type of date. Whereas men now, they're just not making any effort at all. And when we're smoking weed to bring us out of our shell, actually, I feel like Gen Z is smoking weed is not actually bringing them out of their shell, is still making them be more of a loner. So maybe there are that second type that I was talking about. I don't like talking to anybody when I smoke weed. But whatever the case, we can't continue to smoke weed because we think we're not going to be able to talk to people. We have to put ourselves out there. We have to, in order to meet friends, meet our spouse, meet somebody we want to go with or be in a relationship with, we have to put ourselves out and be willing to let our guards down and open our mouths and talk. Again, if we allowed you to come out of your shell, find out how you felt when you were coming out of your shell, when you were high, and try to use these same methods when we're not high. Now, if weed is making you entertain conversations that maybe you would not if you were sober, maybe that's just not a good person to talk to, or just conversation that just non-fruitful. Another topic. But if you're wanting to meet people, meet friends, meet a person, and come out of your shell, don't use weed as a crutch to feel like you need that in order to talk to people. Things like talking, sleeping, eating, these things are body's natural things that your body has to do. And when we tend to use weed in order to dictate those things, that's when weed has become an issue in our lives. So if you're shy and you're using weed to be unshy, knock it off. And be content with your shyness. Not saying that you should never, if you're a shy person, more reserved or an introvert, I'm not saying you should become an extrovert. Also, be content with who you are. Now, like I said, I'm more of a introvert or shy or quieter person, but at this point in my life, in my late 30s, I am content with that. I'm not trying to fit a certain box, fit a certain mold, but when I need to talk to people, when I need to voice something or be communicative, I can do that without being high. So, in ending, don't use weed as a crutch to not talk to people. You can be shy and still meet friends, still meet a partner, and have the best life. Until next time, guys, please like, subscribe, share. Most importantly, comment below. And remember, we are all in this together. Peace.
It is no secret that weed has been identified as a female, obviously, since we can only get buds with THC from the female plant, hence the name Mary Jane. It also seems that men are more likely to get addicted to cannabis as with most drugs, but could Mary Jane be a representative of our dream girl in the best possible way? As a married man of 10 years and 15 years together in total, I have come to realize that women make men better. Now, I am not saying there are not some toxic women that may sway men in negative ways, but ultimately, women should make men better. A common way, and sometimes unpopular way, is the woman being an adversary to the man. We can hear the word adversary and view it in a negative context. The basic definition of adversary is one's opponent in a contest, conflict, or dispute. We can view this as a woman being argumentative, nagging, or unworkable, but it is not that cut and dry. For men to be better, we must be challenged. And who better to challenge us than our counterpart that knows us the best and expects the best from us? Also, our best determines their outcome as well, so why wouldn't she require the best? So when we have shaky thoughts, loose plans, or average outcomes, it is our woman's job to challenge those so we can achieve the best outcome. This also depends on if you have chosen a smart lady, and if you did not, well, I'm sorry. From 15 years of being with my wife, I have learned that she does not just accept anything or just tell me what I want to hear. When I may have not presented the best idea or thought, she will let me know. Now, while she is very supportive and confident in me, she holds me up to a certain standard. And through many men versus woman movements today, that could be perceived as a woman not being supportive. Now, let's swing over to Mary Jane. Why do many people smoke weed every day? It eases your anxiety, calms you down, makes you temporarily feel good about certain situations that may not be necessarily okay. When you smoke weed for many years, you can gain this relationship and dependence on weed. And for men, it may lead us to being content with ourselves and situations, even when we should possibly be taking a stronger foot forward. Now, I don't agree with the idea that all weed heads just lay on the couch and eat chips all day. I know you can smoke weed all day and go to work and live a semi-productive life. But like myself, I was not aware of how complacent I was in life until I quit weed. Now, what if our girlfriends or wives embodied the same attributes of cannabis? She eased our anxiety, made us feel good about ourselves, took negative thoughts away, and made you feel relaxed. Sounds like a great woman, right? But as a man on a mission, that actually may not be the best for you. If Mary Jane was your woman, you may come to her and say, I feel stuck in my job and I need more money. Mary Jane would say, it's okay, Johnny. Just sit back and let me take your troubles away. I know you feel stuck, but look at the bright side of life right now. Let's just chill out, go get some McDonald's, because you are a great guy, and it's probably the other people who really have the problem. Let's focus on other things and not yourself, because that would only make you more depressed. And tomorrow, when you're feeling down again, I will be here to cheer you up. So, after years of her being that safe blanket for you, you have actually stayed in the same spot and there is no progression. And to top things off, you are exclusive to just her, but she is not exclusive to you. See, every guy loves Mary Jane and will go a mile for her, but she has no allegiance to anyone. She is the cool girl in your class that dresses down, has beautiful eyes, with a banging body underneath. Kind of like Billie Eilish. Yes, I like Billie Eilish. You can talk to her. She knows what to say to you. It seems like a win-win, but there is no conflict. There is no pushback from her to make you a better person. You may need to lose some weight. Mary Jane would say, I think you look great now. Don't sweat it. And your real wife may say, yeah, you're getting a pot belly. Which one would be better for you? Be honest. Although good conflict can still sometimes seem harsh or uncomfortable, it will ultimately produce the best outcome. If Mary Jane was your wife, she would not be yours, and she would not give you contests that you needed to be the best version of yourself. Cannabis does the same thing to us, and we may not even realize it. We can also be very defending of her honor when she really does nothing great in return for us, but just makes us feel good with bunny ears. Now, go find yourself a woman that will be a healthy adversary to you, not like cannabis, and your future self may thank you. In the age of artificial intelligence, we are navigating our love and fear of AI. On one end, it has made our jobs easier. On the other end, we are afraid it may turn into a real-life Terminator movie. So truth is, change is inevitable. So why not embrace it for its benefits? Okay, let's look at ChatGPT, which is like Google on steroids. Even Google has embraced AI technology. Most of our Google answers would give us a first AI-based answer first. You can pretty much ask it anything and get concise answers and resolutions within seconds. If you're watching this, you may be trying to quit weed or limit your weed use, and you may be surprised how AI can help you with that. Okay, first, if you don't have a ChatGPT account, I suggest you get one. At this point, they are coming up with different versions outside of the OpenAI platform, but I would go with that because they are the pioneers of this software and technology. Once you create an account, you can start by asking it simple questions. It's funny because one of the main debates on weed addiction is whether weed is addictive or not. And if you ask ChatGPT if weed is addictive, they will say it very well can be addictive depending on the person, which is what I say too. After you have discovered if weed can be addictive, let's determine if we may fall into that category. You may simply ask it something like, am I addicted to weed? Or do I smoke too much weed? Once you get a provided list or information, you can determine yourself if you indeed are addicted to weed. Okay, now the next question you can ask in various forms to get different answers. You can ask it like, how do I quit weed? Or give me a plan to quit weed. You can also get more detailed and say, something like, give me a 30-day detailed plan to quit cannabis. And ChatGPT will give you a detailed plan to help you start your journey. We have never had technology that can do these things for us in seconds. No need to pay for rehab. No need to pay for a counselor. Let's use ChatGPT to get your free help to kick your addiction. I advise you give this a try if you have been on your journey for a while trying to quit weed, or you feel like you need outside help and you're kind of afraid to actually consult with an actual human. Let's use the future to make a better future for yourself, and your future self may thank you.
What's up, guys? If you're trying to quit weed and you're like, okay, what do I replace weed with? One thing you could do is replace weed with exercise, physical activity. And this can look different depending on who you are, whether you like to go to a traditional gym, where you like to do something at home, do some calisthenics, do some rock climbing, some hiking, some running, run a 5K. Whatever it may be, replacing your weed addiction with a physical activity will bring you a lot of benefit. Okay, when we quit weed, we're lost with time, we're sad, we're depressed, we don't want to do anything, we don't want to eat. But we should try to fill our time with more fulfilling things. And I always say, don't look at it like quitting weed. Look at it like starting a new life, starting a new lifestyle, becoming a new person. And maybe you always, or maybe you're just like one of those people who, smoke weed and you already work out. Then I guess, I don't know, do something else. But for those people who just sit on the couch all day and eat and smoke, or even if you don't,
you might not sit on the couch all day, but you still don't exert a lot of physical activity. Maybe you do want to take up something like working out, because they say, when you do smoke for years and years and years, you do sometimes kill some of those brain cells. So you may have a more forgetful mind. You may have a not as good memory. You may have a slow response, a slow reaction to things. And this is because your cells in your brains have been killed or have been desecrated by weed. So you need something that's going to actually rejuvenate your brain cells, rejuvenate your body, and restore those things that you once lost. And the best way to do that is exercise. And I think it should also be coupled with a diet change, eating more healthy foods, having a more whole food based diet. But importantly, putting that body to work. And like I said, it can look different depending on who you are, whether you want to go to a gym, do something at home. People also use the excuse that, wanting to go to the gym, it's almost like if you're not a gym person, it's almost self-sabotage. You don't have to go to a gym to start working out. You can start doing push-ups at home. You can just, let's say I'll just, when I feel the urge to smoke weed, I'll do 50 push-ups or 100 or however many that you want to do. You can start from there. Start easy. Start simple. Don't just throw yourself into a 2-hour-long workout, because you're going to set yourself up to, fail and want to turn back to weed. And don't do too much. Just start simple. Start easy. Try doing, like I said, 50 push-ups, 25 sit-ups, and then you can slowly work yourself up to maybe possibly going to a gym. You don't have to do a gym. Like I said, you can also try running. Walking is a great way to clear your mind, gather your thoughts, think. Some people don't like to walk. I personally do like to walk. I think walking makes me think better, makes my mind run more smoothly. I get my best ideas when I'm walking, when I'm running. And so you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting physical activity, and you also are getting some mind and body stimulation. And if you tell yourself, working out, doing 50 push-ups a day versus smoking that blunt, smoking that joint, definitely 50 push-ups over a repeated amount of time is going to yield you better results, going to yield you better benefits than you just smoking your brains away. So if you're on your journey, you're trying to quit, and you have a hard time dealing with idle time, exercise, work out, give yourself some physical activity, and let your body get used to it. It may actually be tough the first week or two or even month, because if you haven't worked out for a longer time or at all ever, it's going to be new. It may be tough. It may be hard. But that's just in the beginning. If you repeatedly put in work, put in repetitions, your body's going to get used to it, and you're going to actually yield some benefits from that. So I encourage you, if you're on your journey, you're trying to quit weed, pick up some weights, do some push-ups, I don't know, run a mile, run 2 miles. Get your ass out there and do something physical. So until next time, guys, please like, subscribe, share. Most importantly, comment below. And remember, we are all in this together. Peace.